New Year's morning. You're 32. The apartment is quiet. The city outside is sleeping it off. And you're fastening an old wooden shelf board to the wall beside the kitchen doorway. You found it in a closet last night. There's a pencil waiting in your pocket. Everyone you know made resolutions at midnight. You're going to make a mark. One line, today's date, and next to it, your real number, the one you finally sat down and worked out. Every debt against every dollar. Minus 6,400. That's you. 32 years old, worth less than nothing. Every chart, every calculator, every smiling guy on a beach assumes you started at 22. 10 years of compounding you don't have and can't buy back. This is what the next 30 years actually look like when you start anyway. Not the fantasy version. The real one. One mark at a time, from this line to the last one. Level 1. Age 32. Nobody dramatic put you here. There was no disaster. A car loan. A card that never quite empties. A decade that went somewhere while you weren't watching. Being behind doesn't feel like falling. It feels like nothing at all, right up until you write it down. The first moves aren't impressive. You finally empty the storage unit you've been renting for 3 years to avoid dealing with it. $60 a month to store things you forgot you owned. You sell the mountain bike that's been a coat wreck since the year you bought it. You call the internet company and say the word cancel until the price drops. And you set up one automatic transfer scheduled for the morning after every payday into an account you promise not to look at. None of it is heroic. It's arithmetic. But for the first time in 10 years, the arithmetic is pointed somewhere. Level 2. Age 34. $12,000. The system is running now, and the system is boring. Money leaves your checking account before you're awake enough to negotiate with it. You didn't decide anything this month. The transfer decided. That's the trick nobody respects until it works. You don't beat temptation. You take away its vote. Your friends don't know anything changed. At the bar, someone orders another round for the table. You're the one with the tap water, and you don't make a speech about it. Discipline that needs an audience isn't discipline. It's marketing. On New Year's morning, the pencil line says 5 digits for the first time in your life. You stand there and wait to feel something. Nothing arrives. No one claps for $12,000. Make the mark anyway. You're not doing this for applause, which is good, because you'll learn soon enough that applause was never coming. Level 3, age 36. 9,100. Look at the board. The new mark is lower than the last one. The market fell hard this year. The kind of fall that makes the news anchors use the word bloodbath. And in the same stretch, a tooth you'd been ignoring stopped being ignorable. Root canal. Crown. $2,400. Half your face numb. A receipt in your jacket pocket on the drive home. You pay it in full from the emergency fund you almost resented building, back when it felt like money going nowhere. It answers the bill before fear can even finish asking the question. That was the job. This was always where that money was going. And this is a level where almost everyone quits. The number shrinks instead of grows, and the voice shows up right on schedule. See, it doesn't work for people like you. It started too late to matter. You keep the transfer on, jaw tight, and not just from the dentist. Nothing clever, you just don't touch the switch. Everyone gets this year. Everyone. The people who end up wealthy aren't the ones who dodged it. They're the ones who stayed boring straight through it. The lowest mark on the board turns out to be the most important one you'll ever make. Level 4. Age 39. 104,000. 6 figures. The milestone every finance video celebrates with fireworks. Here's what actually happens. Nothing. Same apartment, same car, same job, same Tuesday. There's no moment because milestones built in silence don't come with moments. 2 things did change, quietly. The first came in an email 18 months ago. A raise, a real one. It shows up in exactly one place, the size of the morning transfer. The apartment never hears about it. The car never hears about it. Every raise from now on works for the board, not the lifestyle. The second is stranger. Some days now, the number moves on its own, up or down, by more than you earned at work that day. You've stopped checking it like a scoreboard and started watching it like weather. That spring, the guy from your year, the one who was always 3 steps ahead, invites everyone to see the new house. And it's beautiful. The island counter, the lake out the back windows, the garage with room for hobbies he doesn't have yet. On the drive home, the old pull is back in your chest, saying you've been careful long enough, saying look what careful gets you compared to that. You don't argue with the pull. You go home, stand in front of the board, and let 7 years of pencil marks answer it instead. The house goes back to being a house. The pull goes back to sleep. Level 5, age 42, 238,000. 2 things happen this year, and together they flip the whole game. The first one you see on an ordinary Sunday drive. The house, the island counter, the lake, has a sign on the lawn. For sale. The story comes out sideways over the following months. The payments, the balance owed, the whole beautiful surface held up by borrowed air. You don't feel joy about it. You feel something colder and more useful. You were never looking at wealth. You were looking at leverage wearing wealth's clothes. The second thing you find with the pencil in your hand on New Year's morning, doing the year's math against the mark below it. For the first time, most of what your number grew this year didn't come from your paychecks. It came from what the money earned on its own, quietly, in rooms you were never in, while you slept and worked and sat in traffic. Sit with that. The boring transfers, the tap water, the $2,400 year you didn't quit. All of it built something that now works longer hours than you do. And it never gives the lead back. And standing at the board, something in you finally lets go. The race you thought you were in, against the guy with the lake house, against everyone who started at 22, against every chart that called you late, was never your race. The only line that ever mattered is the one at the bottom of this board, and the distance between it and today's mark. That distance is yours. Nobody can sell it, and nobody can repossess it. Level 6, age 47, 520,000. Money's first real gift arrives years before freedom does. It's a single word. The company gets acquired. New logo, new managers, new promises. A promotion is offered. Bigger title, more money, and a job you know, in your bones, would eat you alive. The version of you from 15 years ago says yes before the sentence even finishes, because that version needs every dollar and can't afford a no. This version leans back, says thank you, and declines, calmly. Once. The room goes quiet for a second. Nothing bad happens. And over the next year, something strange. They treat you with more weight, not less. The world makes room for people who aren't desperate. It can smell the difference. A month later, you try something you've never done in 25 working years. You take a Tuesday off for no reason. No trip, no appointment, no story. You sit in a diner at 10 in the morning with coffee and eggs, surrounded by retirees and shift workers, watching a Tuesday happen from the outside. It cost $11. It feels like a preview of something enormous. You didn't buy anything with the $520,000. You bought the no and one free Tuesday. It turns out those were the product all along. Level 7, age 54, 1,050,000. Here's the honest part. You can't even say which month it happened. You find out on New Year's morning, pencil in hand, doing the year's math, and the number that goes on the board has 7 digits. Somewhere back in the summer, on some ordinary day you can't name, while you were mowing the lawn or sitting in a meeting, you became a millionaire. It didn't call ahead. Nobody knows. Not the people at work. Not the people at the bar. You drive the same kind of sensible car you've now bought 3 times in a row, paid in full, and park it between 2 leases worth more than most people's savings. $1 million. And the truth is, it doesn't feel like the movies. It feels like the absence of a sound you'd been hearing so long you forgot it was there. The 3 in the morning math. The flinch at unknown numbers on the phone. Gone. Not because life stopped throwing problems, because problems stopped being emergencies. Level 8, Age 62, 2,300,000. The math is finished now. You've checked it from every angle, the way you once checked a minus sign from every angle. You never have to work again. Not next year, not Monday. On Monday, you go in anyway. Same mug of coffee at 6:40. Same drive. Windows down now because there's no meeting worth arriving tense for. You spend the morning on the one project you actually chose, eat lunch outside, and leave every email that can wait until tomorrow. On Thursday, you stand up at 2 in the afternoon, tell them you'll see them Monday, and walk out into daylight that used to belong to somebody else's schedule. You drive nowhere in particular. That's the whole luxury. That was always going to be the whole luxury. There's no hour left in your life that belongs to anyone but you. On the last New Year's morning of this story, you make the mark, set down the pencil, and then do something you've never done. You step back and read the whole board, bottom to top. 3 decades of marks, the crooked climb, the one that went backward. And at the very bottom, faded but still there, minus 6,400. You never erased it, you never will. That mark isn't a scar, it's the foundation. Every line above it is standing on it. 30 years ago, every chart said the years you'd lost were the whole story. So they measured what you'd lost. You picked up a pencil and measured what you built instead. 1 line a year through the loud years and the backward year and all the years nobody was watching. The applause never came. The freedom did.